Morning, everybody. Welcome to the RSI Trade of the Day. My name is Benjamin Poole, head trader here at Verified Investing. What a wild day it was yesterday. A couple of my levels hit. And I did have a comment on my video yesterday saying PLTR flushed through all of my support levels. And I do want to say I apologize for not being a little bit more specific on the particular trade of the day. So I also turn on pre-market when I enter trades. And so that first level that I gave you guys actually hit perfectly. It did drop below it slightly, but then got a pretty substantial bounce. It actually bounced 3%. I didn't give you an upside target. I actually took that in the live day trading room because I gave it to you guys. So I'm that confident in these levels that I said, all right, guys, if it hits here pre-market, I'm going to go ahead and get in. And I got into that trade and I exited for about a 1% gain on it. And this was a scalp, right? So I wasn't looking to hold longer term. So we got out of that position. We took $1.50 per share on that. And then when it came back down, I ended up taking it again and took another winner on it. It did flush those levels. That's why you have continuous your consecutive levels below it to allow you to dollar cost average. If you guys want the same opportunities, the same guidance through these trades, please join the live day trading room where we walk you through our exact positions. You can even check the track record to see exactly the whole process of when I got in, when I got out. And it doesn't give you all my ad levels and everything like that. However, it does show you that I literally took the trade. Okay, so let's go ahead and do the RSI recap. So here's the chart of Palantir, right? We had this gap fill at 5601 or 5601. Okay, so let's go to intraday. Let's see what happened here. We had this big flush out early morning, but what we have to do is we actually have, 5605. We actually have to put on the pre-market data right here, regular extended trading hours. Here's what happened. All right. It hit this level 151.06. This is what happened. I entered the trade. It did flush. It got below 151. And then look at this move. It moved over 3%. And again, I didn't give you this level or this upside target, but I entered the trade here. And it happened pre-market. We got out right as the market opened. So it looked, if you take off extended trading hours, it looks like it didn't hit. But in fact, a whole bunch of our trading floor members got this trade. And then there was a gap fill a little bit lower. And so I re-entered it a little bit lower. And then I added. I had this down sloping trend line, started to get some good positive RSI divergence, gave me confidence that this thing was going to bounce up. We ended up taking it off the table at 146.94. But you can see from this first entry level, it did bust through all those. It dropped another 5.5%, 6%. I've been screaming at you guys like, hey, you know, the market sentiment when the RSI is staying weaker is a completely different game than it is when the RSI is staying at the top. And the reason is because the selling pressure, the fear really can take a hold of somebody, especially if we're at kind of all-time highs. So when you see a chart like that, those levels don't usually hit as well. However, because it was a gap fill, I decided to play it anyways. But you can see like Palantir, sometimes they drop. Palantir was down over 10% and 25% from the highs. So I did have the conviction that it was going to bounce. And so eventually we'd ended up taking money, traded that twice. So yes, I agree. I apologize. From now on, I'm going to let you guys know if pre-market or intraday on the trades of the day. All right. So that's my bad. But the trade did work out twice. All right. So let's go back to Palantir. Palantir had this great move up here. Do you notice what happened? The relative strength index. If you see this, I ended up getting out early because this was before this big rise in the relative strength index. And as you can see, I stayed away from this on the short side because the relative strength index gave me this positive or this upward momentum on the relative strength index and see what happened with Palantir. It just continued higher. And then if you go into the intraday, it got back up to close to $160. So that was a pretty substantial move to the downside. But yeah, it did drop. All right, now let's go ahead and get into RIOT blockchains. Enough with Palantir trade setups. Here we go, RIOT blockchains. Look at this relative strength index on the daily time frame. It did start the day below 30. But just like the rest of the markets, they just had a continued move higher. And as soon as it got above the 70, it stayed above the 30. And so RIOT blockchains, I do anticipate it going higher. And so I have this down sloping trend line on the daily time frame right here. Price action got above it. So if price action gets above and back to about $13.11, you have this gap fill. So a couple different confluences right here, $13.38. That would be a great shortable level for me on the RIOT blockchain trade or possible trade. SMR, New Scale Power Corporation, similar price action. Look at this. In the morning session, right before 9:50, before the markets flipped, same price action. So I do anticipate another move up on SMR based on the relative strength index. So if you're interested in a trade like this, I would probably wait because it's at the lower end of the charts right here. I would actually wait till about $38.81. SSYS. I said, all right, so if it pierces $11, that was going to be a great level. And I said it could go up to $11.30. And the reason I had mentioned this was based on the fact that the relative strength index stayed really strong. And I said, all right, whole round number, $11, you're going to get a pullback, and look at what happened. I did not take this one, but it dropped 6% on this trade. It's a little bit too light for me, but I gave this to you guys anyways, just because I thought it was a pretty good setup. NVAX is dropping pre-market. Look at what happened in the relative strength index yesterday. Look at this. Stayed below the 30 and never got above the 70, and just a slow float. Check this out, you guys. If you guys notice this in the charts, if you guys notice stocks at the lower end not getting back above 70, even if you've got some good price action, it's likely to fall. And look at NVAX. It's down another 8% today. So let's see if we can identify some levels based on the fact that it should continue to drop today based on the relative strength index. There's a lot of selling pressure today. All right. So this is, I don't know that anybody else is talking about the intraday relative strength index to give you an indication of what's likely to happen the next day. I would have said that this high pivot at $8.10 would have been a great level, but now you've got this low pivot right here at $7.75 is where I would look to enter it. If you guys are bulls on NVAX, that would be where I would enter the trade with additional support at $7.60. And then I have a couple different trend lines at $7.32 and $7.19. Okay, so now let's go back to MCK. MCK, I have on my charts. This was one of the stocks early in the morning that just caught a bid and stayed above the 70. So I do anticipate a move higher on MCK. So that's McKesson Corporation, MCK. If you take a look, it's back above the $700 level. So now let's go to the daily time frame. All right, so what's next? It's already filled this gap. It's gotten a little bit of a pullback. So that would have been my first spot to enter a short trade. But if you guys are interested, $711.19, you're going to have some resistance. However, it could head higher and could go to this double top. But you see all of this price action that's aligning right at about $710 to $715. You're going to have a lot of resistance in this area. So I do anticipate a pullback after a move higher. So from its current price right here, you're looking at another 1.5% move to the upside. All right. So now, I don't have an RSI trade of the day for you. If you guys wanted to take McKesson or RIOT or SMR, that's fine. But my trade of the day is not going to be based on a relative strength index, just because the markets gave me very little to go off of yesterday because they had a big flush out and then a big pop. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to look at Walmart. So Walmart had earnings and they are down on earnings. So what do you got to do on earnings is you got to look, okay, so it's down below the $100. Okay, here, hold on one second. I need to get my zingers. All right, here's the trade of the day, guys. So Walmart's down on earnings. If it continues to drop, you've got this beautiful gap fill at $95.05 from the pre-market high or low right here at $99.30 or where it's currently at. It's another 4+% drop. So my trade of the day is going to be 95.05 long on Walmart, just knowing that there's a low pivot right here, right above the $94 level. And then you've got this other low pivot right here. This is going to be a more of a substantial pivot just based on the fact that you had support, and a move higher. And so this is going to be a lot of support at this low pivot area if it decides it wants to run in there. So 95.05 is my level. And then you've got 2 additional levels and then possibly even a third. The third level of support, but this would be $91.89. So this could fluctuate a lot. All right, you guys, I want to say thank you for that comment. And you guys, if you guys want to see something, or if I'm missing something, for example, I missed the pre-market data that we have to take into consideration when we're trading and we're scalping these things. Let me know. Let me know if there's a chart that you're looking at that says the screams overextended and you see something on the daily time frame and you're like, hey, is this positive RSI divergence, or is this negative RSI divergence because it's highs, or something's coming to support and it's creating some positive RSI divergence. I would love to take a look at it. I would love to have you guys basically assist on my show. It would be a lot of fun. So you guys, I appreciate you guys. Gareth Soloway is going to be going live in just about 3 minutes on the game plan, verified game plan. If you guys want more of this content, please make sure you like, subscribe, ring that bell so you can get notified every day at 8:45 when the market opens, and I will be here live with you guys. So with that said, I'll see you guys next time in the charts.